ever been told to man up and shove your feelings down a dark hole where the sun don't shine? Or maybe you've heard that being emotional is a woman's thing, best kept locked away with your collection of scented candles and self-help books? Well, buckle up, buttercups, because we're about to dynamite that outdated, sexist, frankly brain-dead idea. We're going on a feelings safari, and spoiler alert, everyone's invited, even if you think emotions are weaker than decaf coffee. Let's be brutally honest. If you still think emotional intelligence or EQ is feminine, your intellectual sharpness is roughly equivalent to a marble. You're also probably rocking socks with sandals unironically. It's not just wrong, it's embarrassingly wrong. And it's actively sabotaging your life, your relationships, and your chances of ever escaping middle management. This isn't about kumbaya circles and holding hands while singing off-key. Emotional intelligence is your tactical freaking advantage in the chaotic, beautiful, and sometimes brutally unfair battlefield we call life. It's the difference between being a leader people respect and genuinely like, and being that boss everyone secretly mocks behind their back during coffee breaks. It's the difference between a thriving, passionate relationship and a dumpster fire of epic cinematic proportions. So what is this mythical EQ thing? Unicorn tears? Fairy dust harvested by emotional woodland creatures? Nope. It's skill. Pure, unadulterated, learnable skill. And you can learn it, even if you're currently emoting at the sophisticated level of a garden gnome. What in the blazes is emotional intelligence, and why it's not just for people who knit and own cats? Emotional intelligence, in plain freaking English, is being smart about feelings, yours and everyone else's. Think of it as having a built-in BS detector for human interactions, a social GPS on steroids, and a personal anger whisperer, all rolled into one gloriously complex human package. It's not about being a weepy, overly sensitive mess. It's about being a freaking master strategist of the human heart. And yes, that includes your own surprisingly complicated ticker. Let's break down the components of EQ with no BS. First, in order to truly level up, you need to know yourself or cultivate self-awareness. Have you ever met someone utterly oblivious to the fact that they're being a colossal grade A jerk? Don't be that person. Self-awareness, you see, is about knowing your emotional triggers, your strengths, your gloriously quirky weaknesses, and possessing the self-assurance of a caffeinated squirrel facing a mountain of acorns. It's not just what you're feeling, but why. We're talking metacognition here. Thinking about your thinking, it's like inception for your feelings. Following that, and just as crucially, you must learn to manage your inner gorilla or develop self-regulation. Life, as we know, is beautiful chaos, and EQ serves as your emotional freaking shock absorber. Handle your emotions like a seasoned pro, not like a toddler whose iPad just died. Think emotional jujitsu, using the force of the emotion against itself, not letting it body slam you into emotional oblivion. Seriously, take a breath and ask, is what I'm feeling actually true, or is this just a momentary irrational impulse powered by low blood sugar and the patriarchy? Developing coping mechanisms, impulse control, and the ability to delay gratification are key because, well, adulting. Manage your inner gorilla, not by suppressing it, but by understanding its primal urges and channeling them constructively. Then, moving to the external world, it's vital to read the room, not just the menu, meaning developing social awareness. Empathy, people. It's not just some millennial buzzword, it's understanding that other people are, shockingly, also complex humans with their own bizarre feelings and messed up motivations. Think of it as emotional X-ray vision, minus the creepy radiation. And here's a huge point alert. Culture matters. What's cool in one culture is a major facepalm in another. Remember, empathy isn't one size fits all. Cultural norms around emotional expression vary wildly. What's considered appropriate in one culture might be offensive in another. Do your research, especially if you're working or interacting with people from different backgrounds. This is theory of mind territory. Realizing other people have their own thoughts, even if they are wrong. Kidding. Mostly. And finally, to bring it all together, you need to learn to be a people whisperer, not a people shouter, through effective relationship management. Building strong, real relationships isn't about being a doormat, but about communicating with crystal freaking clarity, inspiring people to actually want to follow you, not just because they're paid to, and handling conflict like a ninja negotiator who bribes everyone with donuts. Influence, not manipulation, is the game. Master assertive communication, active listening, actually hearing, not just waiting to talk, and conflict ninja-ing. Understand group dynamics and power structures. It's like emotional chess with real human pieces. You see, there are different models of EQ. Some brainy types focus on how we process emotions in our heads, others look at personality traits, but the core remains: understand, manage, connect, repeat. Calling EQ a soft skill is like calling a supernova a sparkler. It's the freaking foundation of your success, your happiness, and your ability to navigate this insane world without constantly face-planting into existential dread. Consider this. High EQ will help you dominate the workplace like a boss who isn't a jerk. Why? Because with high EQ comes better stress management, conflict resolution ninja skills, and the ability to build positive vibes, all leading to higher productivity and job satisfaction. Beyond the workplace, in your personal life, strong EQ leads to relationships that don't suck and might even spark joy. This is because strong EQ fosters healthy communication, empathy superpowers, and the ability to navigate relationship minefields like a pro. The result? Relationships that are fulfilling, lasting, and don't involve screaming matches at 3 a.m. about whose turn it is to do the dishes. Furthermore, in leadership roles, high EQ is essential to become leaders people actually like. Mind-blowing, right? And transformational leadership, it's practically powered by emotional intelligence. Inspiring, motivating, leading with actual human understanding. That's the EQ magic. And perhaps most importantly for your overall well-being, high EQ helps you actually enjoy this crazy thing called life. Who knew? High EQ is scientifically linked to psychological well-being, bouncing back from stress like a freaking bouncy ball, and overall life satisfaction. Basically, you'll be less likely to spontaneously combust from existential angst. Okay, let's wrestle this giant, hairy, prehistoric mammoth of a myth to the ground. The utterly ridiculous, offensively outdated, and frankly brain-dead notion that emotional intelligence is feminine. Seriously? Are we still stuck in the Dark Ages? Do men magically lose their capacity for empathy the second they sprout chest hair? Are they emotionless robots programmed only to grill meat, grunt at sports, and misunderstand basic human communication? Newsflash, absolutely not. This stereotype isn't just stupid, it's toxic. These gender stereotypes are hammered into our brains from toddlerhood. They tell men to stuff down their emotions, leading to a beautiful cocktail of repressed rage, heart disease, and terrible communication skills. It also pigeonholes women, making them seem too emotional to be taken seriously in, positions of freaking power. It's a lose-lose, brain-meltingly dumb situation. Yes, some studies suggest women might score slightly higher on some aspects of EQ, like empathy, but guess what? Men might score higher on others, like stress tolerance or aggressively changing the TV channel. The overall picture? Men and women are equally, gloriously capable of being emotional freaking rock stars. The tiny differences are usually just noise, likely caused by social BS and cultural expectations, not actual brain wiring. So, we've established that emotional intelligence is not a feminine thing. It's a human thing, and a vital one at that. But how do you actually develop it? How do you go from emotional garden gnome to emotional ninja? That's exactly what we'll tackle in Part 2. Make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on so you don't miss it. In the meantime, let me know in the comments, are you surprised by anything you've learned so far about EQ? I'm here to help. See you in Part 2.